Paul Croft on the Never Broke Again podcast. We got our boy Chalmers. We sent Chalmers down to Miami to get Paul to hop on with us today. So thanks, Paul, for hopping on the Never Broke Again podcast. We're glad that you're here. Got Andrew on the right of Paul. I'm Josh.
What's up, guys?
You're welcome, Josh. You're welcome, man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
So we've had a lot of cool people on, and I'm excited about Paul because Paul, what would be a good way to describe yourself, Paul? Like a Renaissance man? It seems like you've done a little bit of everything.
A Renaissance man. Man, I would have been offended by that years ago, but I've learned that, nerds are really powerful. Like I have a health insurance guy in my life and I call him a health insurance nerd. But man, it's good to be a nerd. My wife's actor and model. She's a nerd and I love it. So yeah, I'll be a Renaissance.
Yeah, Renaissance is good.
But to answer your question, let me give you the best. I'm 3 words describe me, Josh. I would say the 3 words that describe me best are courage over cash, growth. There's no comfort in the growth zone, and freedom. And the last step of freedom is financial freedom.
So how did you get that courage? Where did that come from?
Oh man, I've waited a long time. I've done podcasts in the past, but I've waited a long time to talk about these things. I believe the time when the first time I noticed, a clear moment in my life when I knew I had courage, you guys are going to love this story, is there was this kid in my neighborhood in a small town of 3,700 people in northeastern Minnesota. And, not like living in Miami today where it's nice every single day. I mean, you probably, looking back at it, I thought it was a lot more days than this, but it was probably like 20 nice days out of the year, right? So it was one of those days that was above 75 degrees. And my friend, who was a very close friend of mine, he was a neighbor, we're similar in age, he would always come out of the house in like a sweatsuit, but before sweatsuits were cool. So he would wear like Hanes or Fruit of the Loom sweatpants, like the real thick ones, and a sweatshirt. And we'd play football in my yard, and he would just be beating with sweat. And his first name was Ryan. And I would say, hey, Ryan, take off your sweatshirt. He's like, I can't. I go, what do you mean you can't? He's like, my mom can see me from the corner, from across the street, and she's going to get mad at me because she thinks I'll get sick. I'm like, really? He's like, matter of fact, I can go back home and go drink a shake. I go, what kind of shake? He's like, oh, my mom has me drinking these like green things. I'm like, what? Like a barley shake? He's like, yeah. So I was like, okay, whatever. So he went and drank his like second or third barley shake of the day, came back, and I was like, I decided to change it up. And I think I love the way this is coming out because my dad made me a bike jump, and we lived on a hill. And I asked the same kid who had like kind of a helicopter parent, right? You'd say, not kind of, let's just call it what it is, helicopter parent. And instead of, I said, hey, lay down behind the bike jump while I go to the top of the hill and ride the bike, pedal the bike down, hit that jump and launch. I marked out the amount of bodies behind that jump. So I went like, okay, this would be 1 body, this would be 2 bodies, this would be 3 bodies. Most people would stop there, but I went 4 bodies, 5 bodies. Okay, lay right here. So he laid down in the 5th body.
Are you riding the bike or are you laying down at this point?
No, the guy with the Fruit of the Loom jumpsuit's laying down behind the jump. And I'm the one going to hit the jump and launch over him. So I think you're hearing my answers. When I developed courage, it's almost like I gave other people courage. And as I gave other people courage, I started soaking all that courage up and became a monster with courage. So let me explain what happened. So I got up to the top of the hill and I was like, kind of had my head down, like I'm gonna ruin this guy's life if I jump on him or hurt him bad, or else I'm gonna like free this individual of the barley shakes and the fruit of the loom jumpsuits. And I was like, go for it. And I pedal, 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 pedal. I hit that jump. I still remember it today. And I hit the back tire and I almost wiped out because there was a little bit of sand on there. And I didn't. I caught myself. And when I flew over that guy, he was like looking up at me and I was looking down at him. And the cool thing about that sand is we saw where the bike tire hit. I go, oh my gosh. We went from this like nagging, like, Ryan, come drink your shake. Ryan, come get your oats and barley. To like, yeah, like we did it. Like it was crazy. And then I'm like, let's count how many bodies I cleared. And we were like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 21 bodies I would have cleared on that bike jump. And I remember I just was like, we were both so excited. And I think that's like just what I'm all about. I think that's where my life hit. And I might have just gave you the scene of my movie someday too, by the way.
Doing the jumping over the people.
Paul, tell us. Hey, Paul, tell us about all this bling you got on. You're dripping. You're drippy.
Oh, this is some good content. I've been talking with my publicist about doing that, and I will do that for you guys for the first time on my show. Okay, on your show. Excuse me, your show.
No, it's yours. It's yours. Take it over.
My world, your show. Just kidding. No. Which one would you like me to start with?
You pick. You pick. The gold. Right, how about the golden? The golden.
This one, the big.
Yeah.
One? All right. We'll go in reverse order. So this is the most recent addition. So my wife and I are building a home in Brazil, and what I love about this chain is, I have, through my wife now, I have family in Brazil, and my dad in Brazil, his father was really, really wealthy. And I want to give a salute to him because he was an entrepreneur. He was a lawyer, attorney, and a real estate guru. What I love about his story is why I wear this chain every single day, even when I'm in the house, is because it represents to me that you gotta learn how to shut off the naysayers in life and just turn off the noise, because all that matters is what's in your heart and your mind and your gut at the end of the day. Because he had bought up some land, and I don't want to be quoted on the amount of square feet, because there's a conversion, right, from English or from United States acreage to Brazilian type. But my equivalency would be, he bought about 12,000 acres of land in Brazil, halfway between Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo. And what everyone in the bars, which he owned the bars and the real estate on there too, what they didn't realize is they would always make fun of him when they'd come in the bar, and they'd say, that's so and so, what an idiot, he he didn't he didn't think this through. Like, you can't grow corn, you can't grow soybeans, like the cows don't like this land, you can't do anything with it, like ick, like why would he waste his fortune on that land? And the guy would always say, he wouldn't really say anything. He would just be quiet. And then his plan was urban expansion. So the town probably went from 5,000 people to 400,000 people. It's called Resende, Brazil, or pronounced Resende. My wife would be proud because I'm not a pronunciation king. She's the pronunciation queen. But that town grew around his land. So then he created a premium of that land and became extremely wealthy. So this was one of the items that was left in his estate when he died. and his son, which is my dad, right? He says, I'm his brother during the day and his dad at night because he has to watch out for me at night. But anyway, he said, I'd like you to have this chain because they had divided up their estate amongst 4 kids and they didn't want to fight anymore. So I got this chain from a Brazilian entrepreneur that changed the lives of about 4 generations.
And this is your dad. This is your father? I'm confused. You're talking about him. What's that?
I get it. That's why I told Mary someday we should do a separate podcast just about the chains that I wear. Okay. So
We'll save that for Cribs.
Yeah. I'm going to give just a couple more pieces of that. So basically my wife, the simplest way I can say this, met a foreign exchange student, which turned into be a friend, which turned into her sister, which they wrote in their yearbook, like, my wife's name is Chirsty. Dear Chirsty, we're sisters. We're going to see each other every year. I'm going to go back to Brazil. Love, Natalia. And, 99.9% of the time, that's just talk, right? They've seen each other twice a year, I believe, for the last 15 years, roughly. And we're building a house right next to each other in Brazil. So we're family. So does that help a little bit clearing that up?
Yeah. So tell us more about Paul. Are you in competition with the real Paulie D?
No, not at all. I'd be in competition with the real Paulie B. I go by Paulie C and Paulie B.
Yeah.
Paulie B is, unless Paulie D is a billionaire, then I'm not in competition with them because I'm going to be a billionaire by the end of this year.
The end of the year.
Yeah.
How does one count that, right? Like I guess you got to just add up your net worth, right?
Great question. I think, and I can go back to the other 2 chains because you hit the one that was the most difficult to explain. They do say 2 chains for a reason. So if you bring it to 3 chains, it gets a little bit more complicated, right? Anything that's just Mr. T starter set. Mr.
I don't
T
pity a fool.
Right? Exactly. So let's go to the billionaire thing in a sec, but let's talk about these chains. So I'm going to go in the order I wanted to go originally, but this one, you can have nice things and, $40,000 shoe collection or whatever is important to you, $200,000 watch collection. But this chain right here represents a trip I took my mom to Israel for 18 days. And obviously, about 11, 12 stops a day, learning all sorts of things about Jesus. And Jerusalem was fascinating. I'll just name a few of the Dead Sea and also the Sea of Galilee. Sea of Galilee, there was just I thought I was in Maui when I woke up in the morning because we got there at night. And when I arose, I was like, I think I'm in Maui. So anyway, this is basically if you have faith, if you don't have faith, you have nothing. So faith of a mustard seed. And this represented to me something that I saw at a place called Herodium. Google it sometime. Herodium. It's an amazing story. Don't have time for it on this podcast. I bought it in Bethlehem where Jesus was born. The next one, this one, is on this. I admitted to my business partner, his name is JD Frost, who's now my CEO. I'm the executive chairman. I just told him in a meeting because there was this clash between us. And I said that, you are better than me. He is better than me at a lot of things like discipline, accountability, structure. He is better than me in a lot of those areas. So a guy that we had hired, his name is Rocky Garza, dangled a necklace, a chain in front of me. And he bought this somewhere in a foreign country. And he was waiting to give it to somebody. And he said to me, anytime you're concerned that we're taking over your company, your baby, you're not involved in it, I want you to look at this chain and remember that we're here because of you, and we're here and doing this because of you, and nothing more, nothing less. And from that day, I just told him yesterday, I don't think maybe there's 365 days in a year. I probably wear it 359 days out of the year, because it's hard to give up your baby. It's hard to let go of control. I see it clearly. That's why people can't get to that billionaire status, because they can't give up control.
So tell us about how you know, are you never going broke again, Paulie? Paul? What do you like, Paulie or Paul?
You can call me either. I mean,
PC. PC. How did you start out? What was your first job?
My first job was the Dairy Queen. I was a master at creating that cone swirl. I got that, and then I could dunk it in the cherry dip.
Okay. Isn't that where the Blizzard's from? The Blizzard?
Yeah, it's one of Warren Buffett's companies.
Okay.
Dairy Queen.
Yeah. All right, and then what happened?
Yeah.
Then what'd you go? Then did you get fired, or did you get promoted to Dairy Queen? What happened there?
No, I got a job at. This is actually a good story. I got a job at Super One Foods, which I was in the produce department. So if you ask me about bok choy or red leaf lettuce or romaine or arugula, I'd be able to tell you what those are. And so I would stock the produce shelves. And I believe that's when I really learned that corporate America wasn't for me, because I had the manager coming in at night with the disguise on, wondering if I was putting the oranges in the right spot, nice. And the apples. And I was like, dude, you got too much time on your damn hands. I'm 17 years old. You're tattling on me, on your boss, or on our boss, our manager. So the best was she took a trip to San Francisco. I'll never forget this. And I was like, I'm going to have, Where's Waldo coming in at night, probably shifting the Granny Smiths and putting them over in the Golden Delicious. And I was like, I got to really impress her and show her who's who here. So I gave it everything I had for this 10-day vacation, especially the last 2 days. She came back, and I remember I came into work, and she's like, can I talk to you for a second? She's like, I came home early, and I came into the store, and I saw you working, and I saw your attention to detail and your pride of ownership here. Thank you so much for showing me that. And the guy that you told me ratted you out and made you look bad, you just showed me who you are. So, and for that, we were like this after that. It was like, Where's Waldo guy could have came in and said I was doing a bad job, and she didn't care anymore.
What sort of skill?
So what do you do? Tell us, what do you do now?
No, Paul? I have a question. I got a question first. What skills did you learn at Dairy Queen, working at the grocery store, that you're still applying to what you're doing today?
Well, I mean, I think honestly, one of the best skills I learned is there's a chain of command. There's an organization, for example, I had a manager, and then that manager had a manager, and then that manager had a manager. And even though, Drake says, started from the bottom, now I'm here, I was at the bottom at one point. I respected it. And I think that's what, I think the people that respect the bottom are also people that can respect the top and will never go broke again either. But it's the people that are cocky and oh man, I'm going to come in, I'm going to dominate, I'm going to be the best salesperson. You know how many people come through my organization now that are hit me up saying, I'm going to buy a Lamborghini, Paul. I'm going to buy a Lambo. I'm going to park it right in front of our Chicago office. Lambo. And I love this one guy in our organization. He goes, yo man, stop talking. Pakistani guy, Okay, so I'm the real Pauly C, so I'm just to be myself. So he said it different than this, but he was like, the bottom line is he said, pull up. Guy's like, oh, I'm gonna get this color, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have these keys, I'm gonna do it. He says, you didn't hear me, pull up. Pull up. I love that.
So, Paul, what do you do now?
Well, what I'm most proud of is I'm a dad.
Yeah.
I kissed a lot of frogs to become a dad, so
How many?
how many? I have no idea. Only one matters.
Yeah.
How'd you meet your wife?
So, like,
You know, I'm going to talk about something there that I'm really proud of. You guys, I'm fine saying this on a podcast. Maybe I'll touch some. I choose to do these things because I never know who's going to listen to these things. I had the best nude collection you've ever seen from women that I've been with. And my wife never asked me to get rid of it. But the day I said I do, I got rid of it. No one asked me to do it. I just did it because it wasn't right to go back in and look at all the girls from the past. I just did it. And I got to tell you, I truly believe that really has blessed me in my marriage too. So
that's deep.
I'm okay admitting that.
Rolling in the
Yeah.
deep.
I like that song.
Yeah.
Passion.
So what does Pauly C do now? Like, if people are out there listening, do you want people to come to you? Do you want them? Are you a hedge fund manager? I believe you are. Are you a stock advisor? Are you retired? Are you? And if you're retired, how'd you get there? What'd you do to make that happen? How'd you set that up?
So there's different levels, right? So what I tell people, I just got asked to drive one of my Ferraris in the 75th anniversary parade in Miami at the Crypto.com F1 races. Dude, to be invited to do that is very special. They don't just invite anybody. And there's only 75 Ferraris. And I chose to drive one of my classics there, which is the one they wrote me a letter and asked me to drive. It's a 458 Spider. And I was talking like there were Ferraris that's worth about 280K today. But there's Ferraris there that were maybe worth 200K, but then there's Ferraris that are worth $5 million. So you have those $75 million Ferraris. So there's levels and everything. You just have to understand that. And a lot of the Ferraris I'd say were around like 600K and $1.2 million, stuff like that. But so what I was saying is different levels. So when I got started, I sold life insurance to my college professors. I think Andrew's going to like that. So I was 20 years old, and thank God I don't drink this anymore, but I drink Long Island iced teas in college. I don't know why.
Those are great, man. Yeah, me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Now you do the way too?
Yeah. In college.
Oh my God.
Only college, I think.
Oh, in college. Yeah, you go. So I would drink Long Islands all night, and then I'd put on a suit and go to work or go to school because my college professors became my my clients. So I was trying to impress them and I sat in the front row instead of the back row in college. So, so how I got my start was I sold life insurance to my college professors. I did pretty well. I sold 45 of them in my first year of selling life insurance across the campus. And then
I college?
Ended University of North Dakota.
Okay.
I needed to go somewhere where I could focus. Okay. I'd be the garbage man.
It must be hard to focus in Miami.
Oh, I'd be the garbage man today for sure. If I went to ASU in Arizona, I would have probably been, mowing the grass outside of. Yeah, exactly. So back to that question is, so I graduated to the accounting business, which took me a long way to get there. And then I evolved into the capital solutions business, which then the capital solutions business provided me the opportunity to get into green renewable energy. So I'll just give you a snapshot of like net worth. Okay. So net worth in the life insurance space, spending a lot of time there selling life insurance. I'll give you an idea of where I got up to. About 2 million of a net worth, maybe 1.5 million to 2 million. Getting into the accounting business and creating an enterprise of a tax resolution department and doing amended tax returns and just being extremely complicated factory and operation there got me to about a $60 million.
Whoa, that's
that was
a big
great.
jump.
Hell yeah, it is. That's nice to show someone.
So wait.
Yeah.
How do we cut? Like, let's fill us in between 2 and 60. How'd you do that?
Well, let me put it this. Well, great. Okay. That's hard to fill in a. It's like you asked me to like backfill a hole, and the hole's the size of.
Well, how long did that take?
I was going to say the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. We'll start there.
Well, okay. How about this as my answer? It started in October of 2006, when the last thing I wrote on my sheet of paper of what I want in this world is to become a billionaire. That's hard to put in writing because you think a lot of friends and a lot of family like, why do you want to be a billionaire? Why a billionaire? Are you just about the money? Like, that's hard. Have you ever been in a conversation and tell someone that you want to be a billionaire? Like, that's not easy to do. Like, it's even tough to say you want to be a millionaire sometimes because, look, our family and friends and everybody judges us. That's one of the toughest parts. If you want to be massively successful, is you got to be really careful where you spend your time and who you spend it with. But here's what happened. This will give you a good clue. Success leaves clues, so I'll give you a good clue. So we had a guy that owed me about $100,000 for a tax return, and he had already paid me about $150,000, and I had two guys that were about 3 layers below me in the organization reach out to me and said he wasn't paying his bill. I reached out to the guy, and I cannot say that on air what I said, but I basically told him that I have no problem. I'll see you in the courtroom, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be great. And I don't like talking that way. But what happened was we got into this big conflict. The guy was quarantined up in Canada. He reached out to me and said that he may have we got off to the wrong start. He wanted to start over with me. He wanted to invite me to Las Vegas, spend some time with me. So many people worry about being liked. I wanted to be respected by this guy. And I said, I had a lot of people working on his shit. And I knew that he was going to get back $3.3 million on his tax return. So I wasn't playing any games with him on what he owed me and my value. And I think once you shift from a cost-based business to a value-based business, that's when the game changes. So that's how it happened. So at 2 million, I'm all based on price, and I'm based on competing with people that are all, and that's a big bucket. Everybody that's competing on price is a big bucket. When you compete on value, that bucket becomes smaller. Or that funnel becomes smaller. So I went from a price competitor to a value competitor. And I believe my value was so strong I didn't have any competition. And I believe my numbers, my results will prove it. 2019, I had 95 clients that were paying me $10,000 a year to do their tax returns at this point. Because remember, I said I graduated to the accounting business. And I'll repeat that. 95 clients paying $10,000 a year. Now, let me remind you that 80% of those 95 people should have been paying a normal accountant $150 a year. So I'll repeat that. 80% of those 95 people should have been paying an accountant $150 per year. That's what they had been paying. So I upsold them from $150 to $10,000. They're not doing that because they like my 3 gold chains or they like my glasses or like the way I talk. They're liking that because I'm putting cash money back in their pocket. And that's it. So I went from 95 clients to ready for this? That's at the end of 2019. At the end of 21, we had 2,100 clients paying us $12,000 a year on average. Somewhere between $5,000 and $12,000 a year on average. Today, that same business at the end of this year will be a $50 million recurring revenue for the rest of my life. What's crazy is I just got offered a $35 million check for half of the business upfront from some wealthy Jewish investors out of New York. And so proud of my CEO, JD Frost. He said, I didn't even bring it to you. I told my wife that night, I said, we got the right CEO. She goes, how come? Because I said, that shows me what his belief lit is in our organization. And he said, no. So I truly believe that accounting firm is now worth today and growing fast, $250 million. And that's not what it's valued at on my balance sheet today. What it's valued on my balance sheet today is it's growing rapidly right now. Like we're in an insane growth month right now. It's valued at least half of that, about $125 million on my balance sheet. Yep. And then I evolved to Capital Solutions.
Were you doing snaps, Joss, like this? Like,
no.
You guys mind if I take your temperature? Is this good or is this going bad?
I got COVID. Oh no, I'm good. Yeah. All right. So 2 to 60. And then where'd 60 lead to?
Before we do that,
oh, sorry, Josh.
It seems like Paul, we went from Dairy Queen to a $35 million check from jumping over people in Fruit of the Loom sweatsuits. Like, and you talked about what? Courage, growth, and freedom. So which of those levels, and we may not be there yet, that may be further in the conversation, but which of those levels are scariest for you?
Growth.
But which level were you at? Like, are you scared? Is right now the scariest time? Are you like in a comfortable spot, or was it scarier when you were in Dairy Queen making badass swirl ice cream cones?
No, I think the scariest time is when I'm 21 years old, walking around downtown Minneapolis, and I'm telling my boss and people I work with, with knowing my audience, that I'm going to own that building someday, and then seeing their reaction. I don't think I don't think someone like me just wakes up when they're 30. I'm 40 years old. I'm going to be 41 on Thursday this week. I don't think you wake up when you're 40 years old or 41 years old and go, I'm going to own that building. I think it happened a lot earlier than that, and that's just my belief. However, there are some people that have like that serious momentum. They taste it, and then it's just kind of crazy. But I just don't think they have that ability to think that big. See, I was thinking big before I was even big. Like, and Chicago really helped me with that too. I gotta, that's why when I left Chicago, we lived there 30% of our time, my wife and I, and have some gorgeous real estate there. But, I told I have a serendipitous relationship with the city of Chicago that I'll never leave. And plus I want to maintain some of my many of my Midwestern values there. I mean, those buildings really inspired me along the way.
Yeah, what is it? Jordan Peterson, the psychologist, says, like, be careful who you share good news with. Because, like, you don't want to, like, tell everyone, like, what you're going to do, because people are like, oh, no, you're never going to do that. So, like, you got to make sure you're careful on who you tell what you're doing per se, because otherwise people are just gonna be like, you have no chance of doing that.
Yeah, I did say that. I did say that. I was selective. Like, I wasn't just running around with my peers, right? It was like my manager and I took a walk because he had noticed something different in me. Probably because I was 21 years old. I walked into a guy's office. I said, "Who owns this place?" And I ended up earning a $60,000 commission when I was like 21 years old. Not too many people do that. So I think that, and I'm going to tell you something very, very humble. I sat in a hot tub, lost in Palos Verdes, California, overlooking Santa Monica, and that was about 5 years after that moment of what I just dropped there. And I was like, why do we become successful? And then and I'm glad I went through that lesson in life because I was so idle and I was almost treading water and going backwards. And I wonder like why we have success in our life and we did all these activities to become successful. And then for some reason we just wake up in the next day and we just stop doing all the things that made us successful. That's always been a mystery to me, and I don't know if I'll ever figure that one out. But it's totally true.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I was sitting in that hot tub, and I was, that area was very wealthy. I was in the chairman's home. I knew his son from. I'm a great networker from Boeing Airlines, or sorry, Boeing the company, not the airlines, the airplane company, but. I just felt that I was kind of a loser because I'm like, why had I just kept going and not felt so satisfied? I don't know. I mean, part of it might have been like, hey, I hit a certain status of having a certain car that I wanted at that time or whatever.
Do you ever feel guilty about your success?
I don't know. No, absolutely not.
And it seems like because you earned it.
All right, let's circle back to educating the audience here. So you went from accounting, I guess, insurance to accounting. Accounting took you to a very big, you grew that accounting business. And then you said capital solutions. You got, to 60 million approximately. And then you went to capital solutions. What does capital solutions mean to you? Like financing, debt, equity, like Shark Tank, or what does that look like? What is that?
It's still evolving, but we have 5 sibling companies, so we have a debt fund, a real estate fund, an equity fund, a mergers and acquisitions fund, and a film production fund. And so that's what that means to me. And
so where do you run these funds out of? Are they out of Delaware? Are they out of Florida, Chicago?
They're out of a lot of them are out of either Chicago or Las Vegas, and some are Delaware actually. In our real estate portfolio, Delaware, we do have some Delaware funds as well.
Because you protect your anonymity, right? That's why.
Right.
Got it. Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. So then the net worth grew. I think that's a really cool message for me to hear, but. The net worth grew from about, to remember, 2 million to 60 some million. And then when I got into capital solutions, I, honestly went to a completely different stratosphere. I started in March of 20. I officially raised my first capital March of 2021. My first client said, I'm with you. I've known you for a long time. I believe in you. I trust you. I like you. I said, all right, how much are you going to put in? He's like, all I got. I go, are you serious? He's like, you're my boy, Blue. I'm like, okay. How much is it? He's like, $1 million. I'm like, let's rock. So I did that. Then he brought his wife to the table too. She brought in everything she had. She brought in close to 2 million. So between the two of them, I had 3.5 million. And then I had one more test. I brought in my most conservative client.
Who's that? You?
No. I brought in my most conservative client, really good friend of mine today, retired, listened to his journey and called him up. He'd always talk to me. He spent 40 years at this engineering firm. He wears a lot of like really beautiful Argyle sweaters and penny loafers and really nice slacks and all this stuff. And him and I just have a really great relationship together. And he's Jewish, and he had come into my office, and he's like, "You called me into my office. What do you want to talk about?" And I said, "Hey, I'd like to cash out your retirement account." And he brought his wife with him, and I told him my plan. And actually, I'm wearing my hedge fund logo here, which is a lion. I don't know if you can see it.
It's a lot of gold, baby. Baby Trump. Yeah. We got baby Trump over here.
So this guy, he goes, "You know what you do?" I go, "What's that?" And this is during COVID. So my conference room table in my St. Paul office in Minnesota is like 20 feet long. And I'm at one end of the table and he's at the other end of the table. We're like 18 feet apart. And he's like, "You know what you let me do?" I go, "What?" He's like, "You give me the courage to make decisions that I normally wouldn't do." I go, his wife's there and she's only about 4 feet apart. She's got this really nice like lavender hair as well, like streaks of lavender. So it's just like the polar out. Like one's kind of creative and wild, the other one's really conservative. But I'm like, but I focus on them both, but mostly him. And I say, "You know what?" He goes, "You give me the courage to make decisions I wouldn't normally do." I said, "Oh yeah, you give me the courage." And I grabbed the table to tell the banks to go fuck off, fuck the bank. That's what I said to him during this meeting. And I'm like, all right, so I already went there. So then I grabbed the table and I'm like, way louder than that. And I was like, oh shit, this deal's over. Like he's gonna and like leave. And he like leaned in with the Argyle sweater, grabbed that conference room table, and he was like, roared back at me. And it was just a moment. You can't take that away from him or I. And then our meeting was over. That's what happened. And then I went and shook his hand, really professional. I go, "You never do this, right? But success leaves clues." So I said, "Hey, why'd you do it?" He hasn't even done the money yet, right? We shake hands on it. I go, "Why'd you do it?" I like lean in. And this is what gave me the clue that I was onto something massive. He looks at me with these beautiful eyes and he says, "Paul, I took the safe way in my life. And I didn't have the courage to do something that I always wanted to do. And I feel I can be part of something really special here." And he could have said, "I'm not giving you my money though," but he gave me more than the money because I knew that I had something extraordinarily special there at that moment. But he put in about, I think he put in about 900. So I mean, I'm kind of like talked to 3 people. I was 3 for 3. So, but that's after 20 years of building a relationship and having, doing what I say I'm going to do and
providing value.
Yeah, value, but also customer service. And I'm not a customer service guy anymore. And I wasn't really ever really good at it. I tried because I cared. But like, I'll give you a comment on that. Instead of me really caring about people getting their tax letters now in the mail and being like, "Oh my gosh," I call them bunny rabbit teeth letters, like a bunny rabbit with teeth. And I'm like, this IRS letter is scary. I get it. Like you want to crawl under your sheets and die. Like I get it. But I'm not going to help you with it. But what I did was I invested $900,000, or JD Frost and I both together invested $900,000 to start a department called Tax Resolution Department, and they'll field those questions. And we interviewed them and made sure that they cared more about customer service than anything. So that's a good example of
that. Okay, so you raised what was it, about 3-4 million? It sounds like in your first round.
4 million.
4 million.
And then here's what took me to a whole new level. That's all new. First time I've talked about it on a podcast. I invested in something that everyone told me not to. I remember walking by, you're getting a snippet of this, but I invested my wife and I, for the first time, had personal liquidity of about $700,000, and I invested it all in this guy. And for a $1.2 million payback in 6 months. And
What was it?
Well,
what'd you invest in?
Well, it was a promissory note, actually. So I mean, I had a confession of judgment and everything on it. So and the guy had a huge. He had a lot to lose. So anyway, I can't get into all that. But what happened was I walked by the bathroom in our Chicago home, and I was like kind of shaking my head. I go, the money, the margin call was on July 1st, 2021. I thought we were gonna have $1.2 million in cash. I was like, babe, this is gonna be great. And the night before, the guy gave me a call. He's like, I'm not gonna come through with the money. He gave me some good reasons why. I listened. I was calm. So I told my wife, I said, hey, I feel really good about this. So we talked at like a bench at the end of our bed. And then she went to the bathroom, and I opened up the door. I said, I don't know why I did what I did. I think it was foolish. And then she's standing up in the bathroom because she trusts me implicitly. And she says, why did you do it? I said, because I just know how I felt about it. And I spent a lot of time with what I saw. And I could see things that other people can't see, and we're good. She goes, great. Then I feel great about it. When I walked out of the room, a few days later, I signed a deal. I remember I was at the Westin Hotel asking them to print off some documents. I exchanged that note that was owed to me of $1.2 million. I exchanged it for a default note of $100 million US that was owed to me on July 22nd of 2022. So it was owed to me on July 1st. And then I exchanged that for $100 million US. So then I was in Brazil in November, and a document came out, and this will help kind of close the loop. So then a document came out at the end of early November 2021 from BDO. It's one of the largest accounting firms in the world. That our tech that I had invested in, that now I have equity in because I converted that debt into equity. You can follow what I said. Was now worth $10.1 billion. And I own 3 points of that.
10 point what?
1 billion is what that tech in this company I invested in was valued at by one of the largest consulting firms in the world.
Right.
So now my net worth goes from, remember, 2 million to 60, let's call it 62 million. So now I can do that math. It's 303 million on just that. So now I'm up in the 362 million range. And that's in November of 2021. So, and I told you that the accounting firm has doubled in value from 60 million to 125 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then my personal net worth has gone up substantially since. And so sitting here today, it's a very humbling experience. But every way I've diced this up with all my different companies, now you asked an important question earlier, like how do you actually say you're a billionaire and have confidence in it? Well, literally on paper with company valuations and a lot of CFOs that have given me the valuations, 100% I'm a billionaire. Anywhere from at the lowest, probably a $1.8 billion net worth today, to at the highest, probably about $3.8 billion valuation as of today, just personally, based on the equity that I have in these different companies and holdings. I have 41 different corporations, which 20 of them are special purpose vehicles all around the world. I don't know if you have heard of a special purpose vehicle, but yeah, so I'll give you my definition because I feel like my definition of being a billionaire is to be able to, in my opinion, write a 25 to $30 million check without any hesitation. And today, unfortunately, I can't do that because I don't have the cash. But I'm very close, and that gets us back very close. Like within, I'd say, and that's was a little hesitant saying that on a podcast like this because I don't know where it goes, but within 30 days from today. So you guys are really
Heard it here first.
I mean, you're right.
So I'm still a little confused on, you went from 2 to 60, check, got it. Personal evaluation, but you invested the 3 or 4 million, and then you converted 1 million into 100. I got a little confused there in the tech company. How did that?
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah. So what happened was there was a step I missed there. So you're right. I converted the 1 million into equity, which, let me run a calculation of what, if I would have maintained that same equity position, what my value would have been. That's a really good point to follow that story. You're 100% accurate on that. So it would have been, yeah, let me show you. Instead of 303 million, it would have been 20.2 million. So then that story would have went 2 million, 60 million, just over 100 million. But remember what I said, it went to 303 million. Because what I did was I raised $10 million for the company for exchange for more equity in the company. So that's what I did. And I did it in
Which company you did a cap raise for 10 million for a tech company, correct?
Yes.
Okay, which one? Can you say?
No.
Okay.
I can't say.
But it's being used by an accounting firm in Brazil.
Sure. That's
I'm just doing my best to summarize it back so we have the audience has a better understanding of how you went from A to B, pretty much.
No, I get it. I mean, it's, what I love about my story? You can't duplicate it. Like, that's what I love about it. Like, everyone would want to. I said earlier a few times, success leaves clues, but I would say, good luck, because you just have to have it in here, in your heart, in your mind.
So you raised 10, and then you invested it in this tech company that does it's accounting technology, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So let me start. So I said I put in some liquidity of about $600,000, and I put it into what's called a promissory note that was going to be over about $1.2 million. The guy couldn't meet the margin call. I was going to sue him, and what happened was we got to know each other along the way, and he really liked me. So then he said, "Hey, would you consider some equity in the company?" And I said, "I would." So then we're still not, we took our personal liquidity, and now we're not. We were looking to have that liquidity, but then I get a subsequent phone call and said, "Hey, you really impressed us with these things. Like, could you help us in this area?" And I said, "I believe I can because I believe in what you're doing," and I went for it. And part of, like,
are you able to sell those shares? Are you own 3% of this tech company? Are you able to sell those shares, or?
I can sell them back to the company. I can't sell them to anyone else. So, but then you have something that I will disclose on this podcast is going to blow your mind. Is I ended up starting my own green renewable energy company, and I have my fully functioning C-suite, and it's called Rhino Onward International. And that company, I won't disclose the valuation of it on this call, But I'll just tell you, we're in discussion with ExxonMobil on the Western Seaboard of converting 22,000 gas stations from only petro stations to hydrogen gas stations. And I'll tell you, I'll give you a hint that the MOU, the memorandum of understanding, which my CEO of my company's been reviewing, is conservatively it's about a $55 billion flow of stream of income from those 22,000 gas stations. 55 billion a year.
So we're talking about hydrogen power instead of electric and not nuclear. This is hydrogen. Okay.
I got a comment.
Yeah.
So Paul's done a lot of cool things. He's bet on himself. He hit
That, or he's on a lot of drugs.
and would you give up the financial success for the success that you've had forming your family and all of the personal relationships that you developed over the last lifetime?
Yes. Did you like that? You know, I said it like that because I was spending some time with my son the other day, and he like laughed in the background, his curly blonde hair and stuff. And I said, "Mom, like this is crazy." I was like, I had one life insurance company calling me and saying, because I also own a life insurance agency. Okay, I had these guys from Las Vegas and Scottsdale. One of the guys owns a plane. Like, dude, I'm just coming up to Chicago to spend some time with you. I'm like, okay. But I was on the phone with this company. They're like, we're gonna send you to Portugal. Okay. This other company's calling me. They're like, you're the top life insurance agent in the country. We want to interview you. Like, what are you doing? I got another call coming in, and this guy wants to buy $100 million of life insurance base. Not premium, but it's about $1.5 million to $2 million commission. I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I don't even know how to say this. Like, I'm talking to her. I'm like, my dad's overhearing me in the background. He's like, you're not eating those shit sandwiches anymore, are you? I'm like, no. He's like, I'm proud of you. And I go, Mom, like, all this noise, and I'm in my home. I'm like, I'd give it all up just to have what I have as my family, because it doesn't even compare. I always thought I would one day tell someone my personal experience about having money is like one day, it's great. My nut today is about, so like last night I was talking to my wife before I went to bed. I go, I need to come up with $62,000 tomorrow just to pay our bills at the business, not our personal bills. 62,000. I go, that's on Monday. 62,000 on Tuesday. 62,000 on Wednesday. 62,000 on Thursday. 62,000 on Friday. I go, we get a little break on Saturday and Sunday, but Monday comes quick. 62,000. 62,000. 62,000. And I said, do you think that I want my nanny in my house interrupting me when I'm talking? I don't. Because she doesn't even know how many days there are in the calendar of that she's working, but I know every single one of them. There's 20 of them.
So you got a $1.3 million nut monthly?
Yeah. Actually, it's probably higher. It's about $500,000 every 2 weeks. Every week is about $500,000.
Every week or every other week?
Every week. My CEO just called me. We got about a $500,000 nut every 2 weeks. Every week.
What does that go to?
So about
that's expenses, right? What does that go towards?
Yeah, we're funding a lot of companies. We have. I mean, you should go check out. I mean, someone's not going to leave their engineering firm to come work for me for an $80,000 salary. I mean, you got to go look. Some of the people, the talent that I have hired. I mean, these aren't.
How do you find your talent?
Well, my publicist, she's one of the most talented people I know, and she and I have been friends. I think that's what helped the most for 5 years. And she had no idea what was underneath the hood, but she knew probably my heart and my mind and me more, obviously. And you know, I took her out of, she was at OnlyFans corporate, keyword corporate there. But I was like, you know, the way that company grew OnlyFans, if someone who's doing their content recruiting for celebrities out of Beverly Hills in 90210 zip codes, if she can deal with that shit, like, dude, she's good. She's the right fit for me. So it's been really good. So I mean, that's just an example. I mean, I couldn't even. Let's see. I had a guy that's really talented in my organization. Uh, I was driving my electric blue Maserati about 4 years down Michigan, 4 years ago down Michigan Avenue with my pit bull in the front seat, and he saw my license plate and it says Crofty on the back. And I like circled the block, and all of a sudden I see this email come in and said, "Hey, I just Googled your name. I saw that you moved here from Chicago or from Minnesota to Chicago. I'd like to set up a lunch with you to see what you're doing. I'd like to get to know you." How do you explain that to somebody? I don't think you can. Like, um, that's the guy that introduced me to JD Frost too. So I mean, there's just some layers of my story that I just like. I'm really getting excited to get out to the world, and that's why I'm really excited to be here today and just share some things with you guys. And I get it, and not everyone's going to understand my communication style.
What's the rest?
I don't think
What's the
everyone.
rest of your day look like?
Well, I've got on some short shorts right now because I'm a business up top. Here, I'll show you. I got on some swim trunks
Nice.
here because I got delivery of 2 jet skis coming here, and I've got to figure out where I'm going to put them. So I'm going to see how good my skills are. So when I go into these marinas that say they're full, I'm going to see how good my skills are to see, you know, if I can move the needle or not.
Gotcha. What about this week? What do you got going on this week?
Well, Little Dirk is coming to hang out with me with his manager. We're taking out a 115-foot boat out in Biscayne Bay, and
Is it birthday? Is it birthday week?
Yeah, it's my birthday.
Okay,
May 19th, Thursday. So
Thursday.
I've got
5/19.
26 of my really good friends, and I'm going to clarify something that also are still open to the idea of getting after it, or you know, getting in the paint when it comes to partying, because a lot of my friends are like hung those cleats up on the wall a long time ago. Like I won't mention any names, but I have had a couple bachelor parties, and sorry, one of my best friends is he's a what's it, an iron worker. He used to swing like a sledgehammer. He's all
Like a
tatted up.
welder, welding.
Oh, he's the strongest guy I know, and like he's one of my best friends. And he after my bachelor party, he pulled over his car and he had to sleep on the blacktop for a while, and he didn't wake up for like I don't know how many hours, but his wife was calling me and stuff, and like he said that's the last bachelor party he ever went
That's
on.
That's what they always say. Till the next one.
Exactly. So, but yeah, like no, it's been a really great week, and it's only Tuesday, right? So,
Yeah. 12/20. May 17th.
you know, I think how I'd like to close this up is that, like, from my perspective, my lens, like, my story might not make sense to everybody, and you know what? That's okay. But I think, like, just some key points which I would feel good coming from my voice is that, you know, I think of like a couple bullet. Find your secret sauce. You have to find that sauce, because, like, if I was just going to sell life insurance to the world, there's no way that I could do a $1.5 billion of annual premium. There's just no way. I could maybe do 20 million a year of premium, but if I have a secret sauce in an accounting firm, that sizzles that's going to grow to 20,000 clients here soon. And those 20,000 clients love us because we help them build their business and also save money on income taxes by using the laws of the IRS IRS revenue procedures. Man, that's a really great funnel to sell life insurance on.
Right.
So I would say find your secret sauce, number one. Number two, I would say, learn. Well, it depends what role you want to play. Some people always want the ball. I heard this expression before. It's like the weeds, the dance floor, and the balcony. I'd rather be in the balcony than the dance floor even. I think at age 30, when I was a hot shot, or like 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, I was a hot shot. I'd rather be on the dance floor. Today, I'd rather be in the balcony. I'd rather be watching things and observing things. I did a good job along the way of staying out of the weeds. So that's my number two thing. Stay out of the weeds. Number three, depending on if you want to be a businessman or businesswoman, I'd say from my experience, it'd be really challenging to have a family quick. So don't rush into that too quick to have a family. I'd say get to know your spouse or your partner, travel, spend time with them, because it's a whole new league once you have children. So I would say, take your, with children, I just say, do it at your own pace. There you go. And I hate people that want to give all this advice on what parenthood is like. I've made a commitment to myself. You have to go through that. That's what I tell people. I don't want to tell you what to do. Number five, I would say you have to, this is simple. You have to write your goals down and your dreams. And I've even learned how to evolve. That list I referenced earlier was never a goals list. It was the dreams list. A lot of people don't realize your dreams can become your goals, but you have to establish a timeline to them. And that's a lot of things. People don't move their dreams to their goals. And my father taught me that at a young age. He was like, hey, anything is possible. You just have to have a dream, have a goal, have a dream, write it down, establish a timeline by when, and then make it happen. It's sad that a lot of parents don't do that with their children, or they put a ceiling over their head. See if I can just wrap this up with everything I got. You ready? I think this is everything about. SW, 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 SW. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone is waiting.
Let's go. All right. So circling back just for a quick minute, are we self-proclaiming that we're somewhere between 1.8 and 3 billion net worth here?
Why? If you're going to market that as far as your guest on the radio?
I don't know. Do we need to call Forbes and have that registered?
Well, I have a meeting with them in June.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing up some of the finer points in the money game, man. And hopefully the audience I learned how to potentially, take some risk. It sounds like you did, but you built up a lot of trust over the years to leverage that risk.
Let's use this number. I'm really comfortable with this number. If you said as an audience that, because what did I say earlier? I said to become a billionaire I sign my name on the bill. I think I got to have the ability to write a $25 to $30 million check at any moment.
Right.
I'm not there right now because I don't have the liquidity aspect of it. But I did write a $10 million check between my business partner and I as you heard earlier in the talk, to some things. So I would say I'm very comfortable if you said that my net worth or marketed was north of 400 million. I'm very comfortable with that because that's extremely verifiable. And I think in order to get that billionaire stamp, you got to have the cash. But in order to get that cash, you need the courage before the cash.
Sure.
So that's how I would leave that comment. But as far as like equity in companies and stuff, yeah, I mean that number is real. If you asked to what number would I be comfortable at, I'd say million, 2 to 2 million would be my comfort level.
Okay. If you can you summarize maybe your real quick your best? You said you're invested in about 40 companies right now. Maybe your best investment and like maybe 3 points that you liked about that company, and maybe one that didn't work out for you.
My best investment,
or better one of the better ones.
My best investment was
me. All right, into a business, you know what I mean, that you invested in, or you and your partner.
I am a business man.
You're dodging the question.
No, my best investment was 100% Croft and Frost, meeting JD Frost, learning that I'm a visionary, learning that he is I was going to say an executor, which he is, but give me a second. It's a book called Traction. Have you guys heard?
Sure, yeah.
You got integrator. Excuse me. I'm sorry. He's an integrator. So I'm a visionary. He's an integrator. That was like pouring gasoline on a fire for both of us because when we first met, he was trying to make $2,000 a day. And today we're trying to make a lot more money than that a day. But once he learns how to systematize those things and have the discipline and create a team and have the accountability, it's like pouring that gasoline on a fire. So I would say, and the tax firm to me is more of a lead generation business than anything, because that's where we found the green renewable energy business too.
Your client, is that a client of yours?
A client of ours. Well, that helps when we can see the way. So if my client says, hey, we invest $500,000 to help me get into this mansion, and I go, and this is a true story, and I go approach Floyd Mayweather's bodyguard, who's massive, who's going to be at my 41st birthday party. I say, yo, John, I got an idea for you. He picks me up in his Lamborghini at my office in Chicago, and he's like, what are we doing? I go, I got $500,000 for you. I'll be the middleman. I'm gonna get you back $670,000 on this. He goes, let me sleep on it. He comes to my office the next morning in Chicago. He comes up the stairs. He got a lot of stairs to go up in my office. You want to come see me? And he goes, we're gonna do the deal. And he goes across like this with his hand and shakes my hand, and he goes, one catch. What's that? He goes, you do the other half. I go, I'm in. Completely changed our lives. Both of our lives. I mean, today he went from a $200,000 investment with being in a completely different community in Chicago to now he has $1.7 million invested with me, which creates an $18,600 a month recurring stream of income for him. And he's got a massive concrete business, which he's looking to, he'd only do it with one person on planet Earth, and that's me, is that he was looking at basically doing a deal in our mergers and acquisitions business, because that transportation business he's created, 62 dump trucks could be reconverted to hydrogen tankers. And he loves it. And it's so much bigger than he's ever thought about. And it's just, so I think, like, to answer your question, it's definitely the accounting business, because it's a lot, just allowed just scale opportunities.
Cool. All right, man. We'll let you get running to your jet skis, right, and hit the docks and the marinas.
Can I ask you two just a couple questions?
Yeah, man.
I'll go to Josh.
Sure.
Josh, what did you think of this podcast today? Did you think it was too all over the place, or did you like the creativity that I demonstrate?
Josh got technical difficulties, but he's coming over here. He wants to know what you thought. Was it all over the place, or was it all over the place, or was it good? Is it good?
Do you want me to stop recording?
No, keep it on there.
Okay. I felt like it had a good flow.
Oh, good.
In terms of chatting, I feel like you've done a lot of things. So probably for content, I would suggest talking about one thing at a time and diving really deep into it so that people can relate to you better. Because for someone working at Dairy Queen, it's very hard to relate the person that was working at Dairy Queen to see where you are today. They probably wouldn't believe it. So it would make it a lot easier to make it relatable.
Well, like on that note, I never, at that moment in my life, I wasn't going to be a Dairy Queen worker my entire life. I wasn't going to be the best cone expert. I was going to be the best hockey player in the world that they've ever seen. You know, so I was, well, I didn't know if that was my goal, the best hockey player, but the National Hockey League was my goal. But then I had a back injury. So, but yeah, that's good feedback. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, did you like anything out of it?
Did I like anything out of the podcast?
No, your counterpart. And I'm sorry. I got the names and I got your beautiful red shirt there, and it says Andrew. Sorry,
Jeez, boy. Yeah, man. It's just part of your charm. That's just the way you are, man. I was shooting to pin you down on like what you did. You know what I mean? But you wanted to go with other stuff. So that's just part of your character, part of your charm. I like it. It's cool. So, you know, sometimes people don't want to be pinned down on what they do or how they got there. And they just want to, you know, tell their story. And that's part of my job is to get to what you do, how you got there, and to put out there to the people what you do. You know, because Josh will let you go on a Dairy Queen a whole hour. I won't. You know, he'll let you talk about your kids for a whole hour, but we want to know about the money game and how you got there and what steps you took and how that went down.
You know, an observation, exactly what you're looking for is you want the how. And I always tell people when I'm interviewing people, which I don't really do anymore, but when I tell people, if you can be the how guy in my organization and explain things to people, you're going to make a lot of money. Because I'm not the how guy. I'm the why guy.
Well, who's the who guy? Who's the who guy? Because it's who, not how. Right?
Who? Yeah.
Who's the who?
Right?
But the how's the easy part. Google has the how.
But yes. Thank you. No, I appreciate a lot of your questions, and you had to hit me with the 3-chain one, right off the gate.
You're drippy. You look fly, man. On Instagram, you're always looking fly. Dripping.
2 chains, but I got me a few on.
So yeah, everybody follow him. What is it, Pauly? The Pauly C 819, I think it was.
The real Pauly
C 819. 819.
Yeah. The other thing is, the thing I have mad appreciation for is people that become successful and don't turn into some arrogant assholes that I see. And that's where you might hear my communication style and go, how in the world is this guy as successful as he's saying or claiming to be? I don't look, either you got it or you don't. But on that note, like even my publicist was like, we got to get you in to do some training on this and that. I go, I don't want to fucking change. Like I got here. Like I want to be me. Like, you know how many people walk down the street? I seen this guy wearing a pinstripe suit walking down the street in Milwaukee to a seminar with ribbons dripping down to his ankles. And I made a clear distinction moment in my brain. He looked so miserable and wanted to smoke a cigar so quickly during that day with his hair slicked back and looking like he was Michael Douglas off the original Wall Street. And I said to myself, I don't want to be that guy. He looks like he's on a treadmill the entire day and a rat race. So anyway, that was just something that I made a commitment to myself that I wasn't going to change once I became successful. Now, does that mean I have to have a full-time security guard around me? Yes. Is that additional expense? Yes. Are there other things I have to have in my life because I chose not to do that? 100%. But I just really have mad respect for people that can do it at a big level and maintain some commitments to themselves or promises to themselves that I'm never leaving this place. So hopefully that's a little bit of helpful to fill in some commentary on my
Do
personal.
you roar every day?
No, I don't.
Well, I feel special now. We got 2 roars, at least 2.
Oh, the best part, and then I'll end on this, is that guy I text when I was at my office or my desk. I had my feet up, and I was just, at that time of my career, I had 122 missed text messages when I wake up in the morning. And he had asked me a question about his investment, and I didn't even answer his question. I wrote back to him. I said, hey, did we really roar at one another yesterday? And he wrote back this emoji, he, yeah, we did. He got so outside his comfort zone. It was awesome.
Hey, let's have a friendly competition, Paul. I think you're a bit closer than me, but let's see who can get published in Forbes first.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go. That's your goal, right? That's where you billionaire, right? That's
Yeah, it is.
maybe we can motivate each other. You're already. I mean, you might already be there. I guess that's depending on who's running the numbers.
What's the wager?
Gentleman's bet, bud. I don't gamble anymore.
I was just going to say, how about we both get there and go to Vegas together? But then you're you just said you don't gamble.
I'd watch you. No, I'd watch you gamble.
Andrew could be your hype man.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you something about gambling. It doesn't move me. It's so funny because if I'm betting $100 a hand, I get bored. I can't. And I'm not stupid with money, so I'm not gonna bet stuff that I'm not interested in. You gotta be passionate. It's not even playing. If I guess that's kind of scary if I'm gonna say it, but if I went gambling, I gotta be in the game to do it. But I'm not gonna do that because that's a pretty bad sickness if people gamble and lose it all, especially if they have a family. That's ridiculous. So, but. I was just in Vegas last December, and I'm my business partner and I were there celebrating our work anniversary together, partnership anniversary. And he's just you're not interested in gambling. It's just not enjoyment to me. I find it entertaining because I like watching the people walk by, but as far as whether I should hit on blackjack if I'm at I guess the double downs are pretty exciting, but you know what I mean. It's just not really rewarding.
I like the lights, but no, I mean, owning a casino would be interesting, but that's for another day.
Or providing the energy to light up the casino.
Yeah, there's a good idea. Hydrogen.
All right, my man.
Put some hydrogen in there. I hope to see the hydrogen in the gas stations, and hopefully it's cheaper than regular gas.
It's not. It's no, but you can go
It's
a lot
cleaner,
further.
but not cheaper.
No, you can go a lot further on the tank.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't. Normal gas tank. What do you get? 400 miles to the tank. This you get. I don't know. I'm not going to say something. It's a lot more though. So
yeah,
that's the difference.
Interesting.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, Paul.
All right, bye, Paul.
Take it easy.
Make it a great day.
Yep.